Adobe is getting a boost today after the company raised its full-year forecast and saw revenue jump 9% year over year. Adobe Digital Media Business President David Wadhwani joins us now. David, thank you so much for being here. Obviously, the numbers look good. They look good in your division in particular, showing that there is still demand. I want you to give me a little bit of color, if you can, on that demand. Who is buying the product, and is there any vulnerability to what we're seeing in the broader economy right now?
Great. Thanks for having me, Julie. Yeah, we're very pleased with the first quarter, and it's a great start to the year. And in this dynamic environment, we track all the different inputs that we get. The foundation of the growth that we're seeing continues to be the primary fact that in a world which has this much dynamics in the market at the moment, there's a flight to engage with your customers in ways that are going to increase your opportunity as a company. And that is really founded and based on the fact that you need to have a lot of great content, and you need to engage your customers through that content digitally. And so that gives us as Adobe many different growth drivers, whether it's the ability to attract new users, the ability to upsell existing customers to new value and the new innovation that keeps coming out. We have the ability now to, because of the need for content, we've invested a lot in product-led growth so that we understand through data what our users are doing. And drive them to the content or the technology that's going to give them the best outcome and drive new value. And we have just an incredible amount of new users coming out to the platform, both from education and the growth of the creator economy. So wherever we look, whether it's large enterprises or small solopreneurs, digital content production and engagement is really where the game is. And that's really what's driving our growth.
One thing that we've heard from companies that are restructuring their own costs is that they are being internally more scrutinous about the deals that they get done with some of their larger kind of license providers. And Adobe could be seen as one of those businesses. Has that had any material impact on Adobe, at least in this recent quarter, or is that factored in even to the guidance going forward here?
Everything is factored into the guidance that we're aware of. One of the things that really helps us is the diversification of the business. We have end-to-end solutions, whether it is in the digital media business around Creative Cloud, whether it's in the document business with Acrobat and our services there, or whether it's in the digital experience business. What we're seeing is that companies, especially large enterprises, are moving more aggressively to digital engagement, like I said before. What they're doing is they're being very selective about where they start and how they grow. And because we have such a broad portfolio, they know that wherever they choose to start, whether it's in campaign production or whether it's in doubling down on video, we have a offering for them. And that they know that as they grow and as they go deeper in their spend and their strategy, they can grow with us. So we feel that we're in a very advantaged position because of the breadth of our solutions and the footprint that we have globally as well.
And also in an advantaged position, perhaps, in terms of talent. And I want to dig into that a little bit, David, because I don't think you guys have done any layoffs like many of your peers in the tech industry have done. Are you hiring? Are you scooping up some of the folks who maybe have lost their jobs elsewhere?
Yeah, it's a great question, Julie. We have always prided ourselves in being a very disciplined company. So as the market was growing very quickly, we focused on, as our CFO Dan likes to talk about, the rule of 60. We feel that we always focus on profitable, disciplined growth, and then are prepared for these moments where there are market corrections. And we very much see the opportunity now to double down on innovation. We have a lot of great announcements coming out around generative technology next week at Summit. And as we move into these new areas of innovation, the ability to hire great talent that's being let go by other companies is phenomenal. And also don't underestimate the stability that it provides existing employees to know that we've invested wisely in them, in their careers. And we get to really benefit from the stability and focus now while many other companies are going through transition.
Some companies have leveraged artificial intelligence as a means to cut some of their own headcount footprint that they have. For Adobe, what does that look like if you do have solutions that are going to be integrating AI or generative AI? Of course, there are so many different forms that AI can come in, but at the end of the day, does that mean more employees that would be additive to what that experience for the Adobe solutions would look like in the future?
Yeah, at the end of the day, we look at the market and we say the thirst for content as a vehicle for communicating and engaging with your constituents has never been higher, and it will only continue to grow. We talk about the need for personalization at scale. We think ultimately a brand is going to communicate with their customers through a content supply chain that's really focused on them as an individual as opposed to a group of people. And with that demand for content comes a thirst for personalization and more jobs, frankly. Where we've seen people pull back a little bit is in terms of the budget and the spend of the distribution of the content. But we are seeing and certainly experiencing that companies are still growing in terms of the people needed to create that content. And where generative tech comes in is the ability to do what we've been doing for decades, take AI and make the people creating the content more effective and more efficient and more productive so that they can really focus on the things that they do best, which is think about the creativity and how they express themselves and their brands in new ways.
And David, I know, as you mentioned, you're making an announcement on the AI front at your summit next week. So I don't want to. Well, I mean, if you wanted to tell us right now, I wouldn't argue with you. But I mean, what you were just saying, what's an example you can give of how you're integrating generative AI so we can sort of wrap our heads around it? What's an example of how somebody who is buying your software is going to see that in play?
Yeah, it comes down again to this basic concept that there's more demand for content than ever before. And what we hear from our customers is that their ability to keep up with that content is always a struggle. And we have basically looked at generative AI and we've said, how do we use generative AI to enhance their existing application workflows? So we've been focused on three core areas. The first is around the quality of the output. Generative AI is going to get better, and we believe we're the company to make it better. So we're taking the latest and greatest generative AI technology. We're building our own model. And we're adding in what we've referred to in the last decade as Adobe Magic, all the work that we put into imaging and video and 3D to make the output better. The second is around commercial use. There's a lot of complexity associated with copyrights, diversity and inclusion, harmful content generation. How do we make sure that the content we produce is ready for commercial use? And then thirdly, workflow integration. And when you think about generative technology today, the creation of content is really just the start of what we need to do with that content. There's an entire workflow that comes in beyond that. And that's where Adobe comes in, is taking that great content that we generate with our model, but then integrating it into Photoshop, into Illustrator, into After Effects, and also into our DX and Document Cloud products. So you can imagine someone being able to generate a brush in Photoshop to extend an image or outpaint or in-paint and really change the image based on that generative technology as part of their natural workflow, as opposed to a disconnected process.
David, finally, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about Figma, which is a deal, $20 billion deal that you guys are working on closing before the end of the year. And your CEO in the call expressed a lot of confidence about the deal potentially closing. It might indeed face some challenges from the U.S. But I'm curious how you guys are thinking about that as you go forward, especially sort of given the environment in the Valley right now, given the collapse of SVB. If Figma doesn't happen, I wonder if you could even get some better deals elsewhere, right? How are you kind of thinking about your overall M&A strategy right now as a result of all this?
Yeah, it goes back to the point that we talked about discipline. We're disciplined about, how we leverage our capital. We're also disciplined about looking for long-term opportunity. We feel that the merits of the Figma case are amazing, both in terms of our ability, actually all three, in terms of our ability to accelerate their business, their product design business, the ability for their platform to accelerate what we're doing with our core creative categories around real-time collaboration, which we believe is going to be the foundation for the next decade. and their ability to get us into the creativity take the creativity market and make it a more mainstay in the productivity market, which opens up a massive new addressable market for us. So the foundation of the business there, the foundation of the financial case there, around the long-term vision here continues to be very strong, and we believe in the merits of the case. So we're very confident that the Figma deal will close and that will grow. And then also putting that in the context of the core business continues to do amazingly well, and it just adds yet another engine to our growth.
Salesforce has already disbanded their M&A unit for the next 2 years, it seems like. Is Adobe, if Figma does or doesn't go through, does it seem like after this, you're going to kind of step away from deal making?
Yeah, we believe, Adobe's always grown through amazing investment in organic internal design development. You'll see some of that, on display next week at Adobe Summit. We're very excited about what we're going to launch there. But it's also been built through, amazing acquisitions. I myself came in through the acquisition of Macromedia, and so we are a company that looks at innovation in this bimodal way, and will continue to do that. That's always played very well for us.
Adobe Digital Media Business President David Wadhwani. We're going to be looking for more of those details to emerge next week. Thanks so much.